Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live session that we are going to take on how to prepare for Masters in Economics. I am your faculty, Arzu Sabarwal, and I am going to take you through how one can start their journey to prepare for Masters in Economics. So let's go ahead and look at some of the bullet points that one must keep in mind in order to prepare themselves for this huge course of M.A. Economics entrance exam. Now, the first point that one must keep in mind is to know the study material. Okay, sorry for this initial disturbance. So, we are going to go ahead and talk about how to prepare for Masters in Economics entrance exam. The first point that one must keep in mind is to understand the study material. Now, broadly speaking, when we talk about M.A. Economics entrance exam, we have a wide range of syllabus. And if you do not know what to study and where to begin, by the end of a month or so, you would be completely lost in the syllabus. You would not know what to do with yourself. So you must know exactly what to study and from where to study. I would list out some of the important books for you here. So we have book for 5 main subjects, and you feel free to ask your questions in the chat window. So microeconomics, I tell my students to follow Snyder and Nicholson. Then we have macroeconomics. Here I would like you to follow Dornbusch. Then we have maths. I would like you to follow A.C. Chiang. Sedister and Hammond is equally good, but if you want to practice more questions, a more better option would be to go ahead and to go for A.C. Chiang. Then we have game theory. Now, this is where a lot of students would pick up on Osborne, which is one of the most fantabulous books. I love Osborne, but you must know that game theory is asked in depth and detail only in Delhi School of Economics paper. When you talk about any other entrance exam, for example, when you talk about IIT JAM, GATE Economics, when you talk about JNU, Jamia, when you talk about any other entrance exam, then this subject is not asked in much depth and detail. And the amount of game theory that is asked is what is already present in Snyder and Nicholson. So even if you do not do this, believe me, even DSC can be cleared. So majority of exams can be cleared. In fact, I would rephrase myself and say all of the exams can be cleared. So no need, nothing is required for you, especially to go ahead and do game theory from. Then I would like to talk about econometrics. Before I talk about econometrics, let me talk about statistics first. Do DeVore for statistics. Now, once you have done DeVore, you will notice that actually, this is a good enough book, and most of your subject knowledge, even for econometrics, would be covered from the statistics. So, if I talk about, again, it depends. If I talk about exams like CUET, right? If I talk about your JNU, Jamia, Madras School of Economics, DeVore is fine. You don't have to follow any other book. Even I would, like to comment that most of the questions that come in IIT exam can be done using DeVore. If you want to do econometrics, Gujarati is a perfectly nice book. But this is only in case you want to gain extra knowledge for DSC, ISI, and few other entrance exams. So, here in Gujarati, I would like you to suggest chapter 1 to 13. Don't go beyond 13 whatsoever, because that will only be asked in your PhD exam, entrance exam. So chapter 1 to 13 is sufficient for this entrance exam, right? So this is what your syllabus should be. So the first thing that I want to highlight is that you must know your study material very well. You can, put your questions in the chat window, definitely. The second thing is be consistent. It's not that, if you will dedicate the last 2 months, you will be able to clear your entrance exam. No, you have to consistently do the syllabus. It means that going ahead and doing one chunk every day, irrespective. I tell my students to do 1 hour of micro currently, because we are doing micro and maths. So 1 hour of micro and 1 hour of maths every day, irrespective. So what can you do? So once you come back from college, your 2 to 3 hours are sufficient for your college exam. And believe me, nobody starts the college studies right from day one. So, if your semester has started today, I believe most of you will start preparing for the semester towards, towards the month of maybe September end or October. So you have plenty of time that you can dedicate to the entrance exam. Of course, semesters are equally important because a lot of universities would check what has been your marks in your college. Delhi University takes admission on merit basis. So I'm not negating that. That is equally important. But this is also important that you give 1 hour to micro and maths currently. Then as we progress, you give 1 hour to macro and statistics and continue that. So this has to be done all 6 days a week. The 7th day, you can relax, but you have to solve those exams that you are given. So you must do at least 1 practice test. The practice test is to evaluate what you studied throughout the week. If you do not do this practice test, I don't know how you performed in your exam. In the entire week, how are you doing? Did you study well or not? So the practice test helps you to get more clarity of where you stand today, right? So this is where you have to go ahead and put on a lot of effort. Now, what should you do in this 1 hour? So, for example, for micro, pick up on the book Snyder and Nicholson. It's okay if you're not taking coaching, no problem. You can clear the exam through self-study also. What do you want to do? Pick up on the book Snyder and Nicholson, read 5 to 6 pages every day. That's not a lot to ask. Follow by a corresponding question from either Varian workbook or the back question of Snyder and Nicholson. Anything is fine. But you have to do question also. So for example, if I have studied about indifference curve today, then I will go back to the back question of Snyder and Nicholson, which says plot the ICs, and it will be a question. So min of 2x1, 4x2. I will practice this. I will test my knowledge on whether I have understood ICs or not. So for example, I have understood the properties of indifference curve. I must do a question like this: x1 square plus x2 square plus 2x1 x2. Are these ICs convex to origin? Are you getting it? Understanding convexity is different. Doing a question on convexity is different. In exam, they will ask you this question on convexity. So you have to practice that. Okay. So then, as I just told you, practice questions. You don't only have to go ahead and you don't only have to read the material. That's one thing. You have to also practice that correspondingly. That is going to help you grasp the knowledge of the subject. The next is don't compare. Now, this is what I have been seeing a lot in my students, and I see it every year. Ma'am, when I, start studying, my friend is able to solve the question in 5 minutes. It takes me a lot more time. What should I do? How should I approach the material, ma'am? Ma'am, why am I not able to solve at the same speed? Why am I not able to answer questions in your live session when the other student is able? That's okay. Different students have different grasping power, different ways of understanding the concept. There is no comparison that you need to do. If you think you're not able to go ahead and get the gist of the subject when it is taught, no problem. Go back, revise it again, take more time, come back later, ask me questions later. But don't compare yourself. Each student has its own journey. There is no reason to say that your journey is slower and his is faster or hers is faster, right? You go out with your own journey, but I can bet that all of you would be landing at a good institute the next year. The only thing that is required is consistency and practice. That is something that you have to do. Okay, do maths. Now, a lot of my students are maths phobic, which is not good. So what will they do? They will go ahead and they will learn everything around. So for example, it is not enough to know the ISLM curves. The question is, can you find the multiplier? It is not enough to go ahead and to know the equilibrium condition of profit maximization. The question is, can you solve this? Can you find this answer? Can you differentiate? Can you find marginal product? Can you find marginal utilities? Do you know partial differentiation? That can only be done if you do maths enough. So you cannot avoid maths if you want to learn economics. A good economist is one who is also a good mathematician. So you have to start learning maths. You have to love maths, in fact, in order to love economics. As I have always been telling, ask doubt. Don't think that, my doubt is silly. How will I go ahead and ask this? This is very basic doubt. Don't be afraid of that. That's okay. I am here to solve very, very simple doubts. I am here to solve the most difficult doubt. But you have to bring out what is there in your mind out on the group. You have to ask me that, ma'am, this is my doubt. How do I solve this? Ma'am, I don't understand this very basic thing. How did you find marginal utility? I don't know this. You have to ask as many doubts as possible. If you ask me doubt today, I will clear it. But if you ask me these doubts in December, in March, that is going to be a little demotivating, both for me and for you. This is the time to start picking up on small things and clearing those out, rather than waiting till the end and putting all, in your mind and thinking, okay, I will do it later, or I will ask it later. So ask as many doubts as you can. If you're not taking any coaching, ask doubts to your professor, but get them sorted, get them cleared. Have love for the subject. If you don't love your subject, you cannot become a good economist. Economics is not about mugging up the subject. Economics is about knowing the subject well. So, very often I tell my students that go ahead and, read about different kind of economists. Know what they have done. Know who is Pigou. Understand what was Pigovian tax is fine. But what Pigou gave, how did he came to that conclusion? Know that. Know who is Marshall. Know who is Adam Smith. Read about their books. That will give you more clarity towards the subject. So you must have love for the subject. You must explore about different kind of theories that are brought in this subject. Not mugging up. The aim is not just to clear the exam and just get a job. No, the love for the subject is important. Solve past year papers. Each exam comes with its own past year papers. They have a very different pattern. IIT, for example, would have 8 to 10 marks for Indian Eco. DSC will not give you Indian Eco. ISI would not give you Indian Eco. For example, JNU will ask you logical questions. DSC will not ask. So know the pattern of the paper. And whichever exam comes, prepare only according to the pattern. So you will see me that when I talk about us, when we are towards the end of December or early January, you will see me only and only doing questions which are relevant to IIT, because I know that in Feb we have IIT exam. So I would be only focused on IIT entrance. I will only be doing questions in that pattern. Then when we have South Asian University, I will only be doing in that pattern. Then IGIDR, then ISI, then DSC, then JNU. So whichever exam you're sitting for, make sure that you only do it in that pattern and not in any other pattern. Very, very important. So currently we know we have 10 days left for CUET, right? Right? We have our entrance exam coming up. So be very sure. Do only past 10-year JNU exams. Do MSc exams, papers, and you will be able to clear that. So know what to study when. That is very important. As I told you, you have to understand the paper pattern. Only that will help you clear that entrance exam, right? Okay, so let's take few questions from the audience. So someone is, Anirudh is asking, ma'am, I find econometrics a little tough, how to approach it? So, when you talk about econometrics, Econometrics has its, it derives its origin from, how is it derived? Economics plus mathematics. So there are two things that you want to do. One, you want to understand maths and stats. No one can do econometrics if they don't know hypothesis testing. No one can do econometrics if they don't know what is confidence interval. So you have to make yourself very, very strong with the concept of statistics. Then, once you know what is hypothesis testing, confidence interval, z-test, t-test, p-values, etc., go back and look at econometrics. It will feel very smooth. It will be very easy to do. Secondly, choose the right book. If you only want to focus and read econometrics, there is no book better than Gujarati. That's the right book to begin with. So follow step by step each chapter of Gujarati. Do its back question. Go through each example of Gujarati and it will feel very smooth. It will feel very easy. Okay? Okay. Then the next question is, can I start my preparation now? Of course you can, but don't wait more. The earlier you start, the better it is. See, it's already, we're touching September next week, right? It's already September. Feb is your entrance exam of IIT. That's the first entrance exam. January is where you only do revision. Nobody exceeds December to cover the course. Now just start imagining. You have September, October, November, December. 4 months. How many subjects come in IIT? 5 subjects. You have micro, macro, maths, stats, Indian Eco. By now, I have finished micro with my students, on verge of finishing maths with students. We'll start with macro and stats soon. And we would be finishing it in the next 3 months. Now imagine you have 4 months still left. Still time to cover these 5 subjects. But if you go beyond this month, if you go beyond September, you're lowering your chance to go into a good institute like IIT. Don't do that. Start your preparation immediately. Wait no longer. Okay? Any other question that we have? Anything that the audience would like to ask? So, one thing that students ask me very often, ma'am, how much Indian Eco should we do? Where should we do Indian economics from? Indian Eco is vast, dear. If you start preparing with Indian Eco, you will be lost forever. That's not the point where you should start from. Start from the main 4 subjects, even for IIT. Leave Indian Eco for the last. Indian Eco is like a lake. It's infinite. So, it's like, I should actually call it like a sea. It's infinite. I can tell you to do books like Uma Kapila, Dipashri, etc., etc. But however you do, how much ever you do, you will always find one question in exam which you would not know. So the aim is to cover these 92 marks first. Be very, very thorough with those 92 marks. Then we can focus on these 8 marks in December. But this is my current aim. I want you to do this very well. That is what we want. Right? Okay. I'm in my second year of BA Economics Honors. I will appear in 2024. So there are 2 things that you can do. See, in your third sem, I'm not sure which university you're from, but in your third sem, you're supposed to learn intermediate, micro, macro, and stats. And in your fourth sem, you would learn again intermediate, micro 2, macro 2, econometrics. These are the very subjects that are asked in M.A. Economics entrance exam. So if you are in your second year, you have to only focus on these. If you hold a good grasp on these subjects, there is no stopping you. You will be able to clear any entrance exam by the end of your fourth sem only. You don't even have to wait for 1 year. That is the importance of these subjects. So go ahead and focus on this content very well. So intermediate micro 1 and micro 2 can be done from Varian. Macro 1, macro 2 can be done from Dornbusch. It can be done from Blanchard. Econometrics from Gujarati. Stats from Devore. This is what Delhi University also follows. And I think so this is a perfect syllabus for you to do. However, if you feel that you are not comfortable and you would like to begin your coaching straight away, we have a 2-year program also. In which, in this first year, we teach you these subjects. And in the second year, we again do live lectures with you and we take you through all the advanced material. So in the first year, which is in your third and fourth sem, you do these books with us. And next year, which is your fifth and sixth sem, you do the advanced material with us. I'll give you an example. For example, when I talk about microeconomics, right? In microeconomics, you would notice that you're taught about indifference curves. Now, if you join us, I'm just giving you an example. When I talk about intermediate micro, I will teach you about what are complementary goods, what are substitute goods, how do you write your utility functions for those, etc. But when I talk about the advanced material, then I will teach you things like this. For example, what happens if your utility function looks something like this? What happens if your utility function looks like this? What happens if your utility functions look like this? This happens in the live videos, in the advanced lectures, right? So it's a good idea to build this base in your second year and focus on this in your third year, right? Okay, next question. Which website or articles would you recommend to understand current economics of the world? So, the best way to know the current economics of the world is to go through Economic Times. Read through the newspaper, not everything, just the headlines and some parts of it. You will know exactly the current economics of the world. Go through. So, they use very good economics language. They will be talking about price index. They will be talking about inflation, deflation, recession. They'll use all these words. It will also help you open up your mind. Additionally, there are some excellent EPW articles that you can go through to enhance your knowledge about economics. Okay. Hi, Simran. Any question that you have? Anything you want me to answer? Okay. So if there are no more questions from the audience, I would like to wrap up this session. We'll be taking more such live sessions in the coming weeks where we'll go ahead and clear your doubts. Do like, subscribe our channel, because now I would be putting a lot of solved Snyder and Nicholson variant questions on our YouTube channel. Thank you.